Morning, guys. Today we're gonna practice drawing a landscape, and I'm gonna walk you through how to start, where the best place to start is, and where to go from there. So the first thing we're gonna do is find the horizon line. Remember, the horizon is where the sky meets the land. Okay. In this image, it looks like the mountains are the horizon, but I'm gonna start where the flat land ends. So that would be where the ocean is, okay? And I would say it's about halfway up my page. So I'm going to draw a nice light line across my page. Then I'm going to find the biggest thing in my image, right? We're going to look at the strongest visual lines in our image, and we're going to draw them. So a visual line would be where that bridge draws our eye toward the horizon line, right? It's going from the end of the paper and it's going to a little bit left of the middle of our page, right? So if this is the center of our page, the bridge probably ends around here. Okay, so I'm finding my point where the bridge ends, and the bridge ends on the right side of the page. I have to find how high that bridge should go. It shouldn't go down here because my horizon line is down here, and it's a lot higher than my horizon. I would say it's about halfway up between my horizon line and the end of my paper, right, the sky. And then from there, I'm going to draw a line. Okay, so that's my very basic line for my bridge, and then I will edit as I go. Another line that I'm going to draw is my mountain ridge, my mountain outline. So I would say it's about, if I divided my page into fifths on the top, it would be about 1/5 starting up here, and I'll just make it a little rocky. It doesn't have to be perfect, it's just mountains. And it ends a little bit farther than halfway. Remember our halfway point, right? It's helpful to make marks like that, right? This is the halfway mark, so we compare everything to that. Now I'm going to go back to my bridge. I have my mountains. I'm going to start putting in the vertical lines on my bridge. So I'll start with this little one. I'm going to start it, it's kind of right at the end of the bridge, and it's just a straight line, and it's going to be maybe 1.5 inches long. Okay, it's a short little line, and it has another line parallel to it, and it has these lines connecting it above where this bridge is. So it has 1, 2, 3, 4, and it has these little tiny lines up top. Okay, so I have that. And then I'm going to find where my other taller point is. I would say I'm going to make my mountains go a little bit longer. And my taller point will be, I would say actually it's like my halfway point. Right, the left vertical starts at the halfway mark, and the right vertical is wider because it's bigger, it's closer to us than this farther one. And we're going to make this go up maybe a little taller than the height of our bridge, because if you compare, if you look at your mouse, you draw your mouse an imaginary line over to the end of the paper, the top of this vertical is taller than the end of the bridge. So we're going to make that really tall. Hi.
Hello,
Thank you. Merry Christmas. And then we're gonna draw connecting lines, horizontal, connecting those two vertical pieces. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we have our bridge here. And then our bridge finishes at this big chunk here. I'll bring my mouse over it. It has this arch and these 2 other verticals. So we're going to draw these verticals first, and then we're going to draw this arch. So these verticals, if we divide this last section into 3 pieces equally, that is what these 2 lines are marking. So just even them out, evenly space them between those 2, this last chunk of bridge. And then we have our arch. Now our arch, we want to draw more of the arch on the left side and less of it on the right. So it's going to end higher up and lower down here, right? Because it's on an angle. So we're seeing less of this and more of that. Okay, I'm going to make this a little bit darker and straighter. And I'm going to give some dimension to these lines, right? Because it's a 3-dimensional object, so it has multiple faces on it. And I'm going to give my, we have a rectangle up here, and it comes down this way. And just below the arch, we have another line that should be parallel to this line. Okay, this white piece here, that's part of the bridge. And then we have some more parallel lines under the top of the bridge to make it look more 3-dimensional. And we're going to take our pencil and make these little string cables. They're really thick in real life, I imagine. And we're going to draw those lines connecting the top of this vertical to the bottom to the base of the bridge. So this line is going to come from the top, and it's going to end down here. So we're going to draw it this way, going all the way up here. And I'm going to keep it thin. I'm drawing it really thick right now, but I'm going to keep it thin and delicate. And the other one is you're going to see it through the bridge, and it's going to end on the right side, just like it ends on the right side up here. And then these lines are going to come down and end one here and the other one just above it there. So this one connects to this line, and this one connects to this line. And I'm going to make this structure a little bit darker here, and add some bigger feet to my bridge down here, and bigger feet over here. And I'm going to draw some lines showing that there's an inside to this tunnel bridge. Right, you can go under it. And above it has these verticals like this. And we have some horizontals that go in like this. And you can go as detailed as you want with the bridge. I'll leave it like that for now. I'm going to make my mountains a little bit more dark so we see them better. And I'm going to give some little mountain range in the background there. I'm overlapping it. And now we're going to deal with the front, the foreground, right? We have our middle ground that we still haven't dealt with, but our foreground is going to have some larger rocks. So we have a big rock here. We're just going to draw like a half circle almost there. We have another rock next to it, a little bit bigger. And then we have a weird shaped rock. Now, rocks are not all the same shape. They're all weird shapes. And when you see rocks laying in the sand like we do here, they usually have flat bottoms because they're sinking into the sand, or relatively flat bottoms. So we shouldn't draw circles on our page like that, because then it looks like we have a floating circular rock, and we don't really want that. So give your rock some weight by giving it a flat bottom. Right, it's sinking into the sand because it's so heavy. So I'm going to draw some more, some larger, some smaller, some in the water to the left. I'm going to draw one over here. Right, and so this one doesn't have a flat bottom over here because it's going back in space, right? So this bottom here is still sinking into the sand, but it's just facing a different direction. We have a little stone here and a bigger one here. And the reason we're going from front to back is because we have rocks overlapping each other. If I drew one back here, but I wanted to draw one in front of it, then I would have this problem of overlapping the lines. And when we have things in front of other objects, they block our vision, and we don't see the thing that's behind it entirely. So that's why we're drawing the front objects first, so that they can block the things that we don't see. Okay, this giant rock here, and I'm going to go over here toward the left side of my page and draw another giant rock a little bit higher up. And on the edge of my page, there's a rock that connects the mountain with the ocean, and another one over here, and some other little ones with flat bottoms, and a lot of other little rocks over here. And you can just draw these however you want, because you don't have to copy these exactly. You can still fool the viewer, right? Tell them that there's rocks here, but they don't have to look exactly like the photo. And now I have some boulders kind of stacked up over here. And when we draw rocks, we draw them with jagged edges. They're organic, they're abnormal, so they're not all uniform. They don't all look alike. I have another one over here. Okay, once I have my rocks scattered out, now I'm just going to do my ocean line, and then we can draw a few clouds and we'll call it a day, and we'll move on to the next landscape, because we're just starting with the basics right now. Okay, my ocean line, I'm going to start it right above this giant boulder here, and the pattern of the water, it goes horizontally in and out, right? Because the waves wash up to shore and they get pulled out. So we're not going to draw water with vertical lines, we're going to draw them with horizontal lines washing up into the rocks. And it's going to just end at this boulder here. And you can draw some texture around the water, showing, the viewer that it's water. There's lots of texture in the foam around the water. Right, so these lines that I'm making signify that it's a flowy liquid, like water. lines tell stories. Lines communicate, so we can use that to our advantage. And I'm going to draw some flat, really calm lines because the water doesn't seem to be moving as rapidly here. And I'm going to draw a line for where the bridge is, just to signify that it ends here. And this one I'm going to bring down a little bit more. And the shoreline's about over here. That's where the sand ends. And now I'm going to draw some of my clouds. I'm just going to really lightly draw some big clouds. I think our tendency is to draw our tiny little puffy clouds, but sometimes clouds are really massive and they take up the entire sky. Okay. So the last thing I want to do, I'm just noticing now, there's really subtle vertical lines going down from the ropes on the bridge. So I'm going to draw those in from the rope to the base of the bridge, and from this rope. And if you'd like, you can do some zigzags to show that there is some texture on this bridge, the side of the bridge. Okay. And give it some more perspective. Sometimes less is more, right? When you don't add as much detail. And the rest of it, we're not going to do any shading. We're just going to do the outlining for now. Okay.